Hello everyone, today is a special video because I will be migrating to another bullet journal for the remaining months of 2021. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Christina. I love creating bullet journaling spreads, planning, stationery hauls, and lifestyle content. So if you are into that sort of thing, support the channel by subscribing. One of my inspirations for creating bullet journal spreads is art. I'll look on Pinterest and browse art categories, and once I find one I like, I make it, some variation of it. So here is the inspiration for this setup. While I'm getting started, the bullet journal I'm migrating from is a lime green A5 Archer and Olive to a sage green in a Leuchtturm 1917 A5 softcover journal. I clearly have a thing for green right now, but another main reason for this journal selection was how many pages are in it. In the past, I used a journal that had enough pages to last me the whole year, so this is the first time I've had to migrate to a new bullet journal. I didn't want to buy another bullet journal with 250 pages to only use 100 to 150 for the rest of the year. This Leuchtturm 1917 softcover has 124 pages, which is the perfect amount for 5 months. I will be doing a full review of the Leuchtturm later because I want to use it for a couple of months to give a proper assessment and pen test of the product. The setup for all of my bullet journals has always been quite simple. I like that for the setup because I want it to be purely functional. It's not about the design, glitz, or glam, but I will say this is the most color I've used in a bullet journal setup ever. But it still holds that simplicity that I crave for in a setup. Although this setup is quite different than the one I created at the beginning of the year, I wanted to use at least one element I used earlier, which is the stencil. I love this stencil because it's small, has upper and lowercase letters and numbers. You don't see that quite often. I have so many stencils and they usually come in all uppercase letters, and then you'd have to buy another stencil with the lowercase letters, and the same goes for the numbers. So this one is a must-have. The next time I make my way to Michael's, I'll have to see if they have stencils similar to this in a different font. The following 2 pages are the space grid and a key. You know, I thought about it repeatedly and just wasn't quite sure if I was going to include a key in this setup just because I don't use it. I never have to reference this page. I know what symbols I use to signify a task, an event, if something is a priority. So on the other hand, it's a filler. I mean, it's gorgeous in the setup, but it kind of reminds me of like an author, why table of contents are included in a book, right? The author doesn't necessarily have to reference it because they wrote the book. The table of contents is for a reader. You never know, someone might stumble upon my bullet journal and they might be curious as to how I planned my days. Unlike my key, something that changes when using a bullet journal brand you've never used before is the space grid. Not every A5 dotted journal has the exact measurements. Therefore, they'll have different boxes horizontally and vertically. Luckily, with the Leuchtturm, it has even boxes going across, but sadly there are 39 spaces from top to bottom. What's interesting with the Leuchtturm is there's an extra space at the bottom of the page. It almost looks like they could have added an extra row of dots. I kind of just counted that as a row just so that it'll look aesthetically pleasing, but also because it'll be an even number, and it just overall makes it easy to create my space grid. The future log. One of my biggest mistakes this year when creating my bullet journal setup was not including a future log. And the more I think about it, I think the reason I left it out of my 2021 bullet journal setup is that I didn't use one in 2020. Like, there weren't any travel plans, hanging out with friends, that sort of thing. So I was too absent-minded to recognize that for 2021, I would actually need one. So for this future log, I'm only including August to January and keeping it simple by using the same 3 markers I used earlier to divide the columns and use a floral washi tape. Now, what's fun about this setup is it's effortless, just odd and abstract circles and ovals. They don't have to be perfect, obviously. And for the colors, you can choose whatever color palette you are currently into. Next page, I am creating the same minimal abstract circular shapes and then doodling a floral and foliage in the middle with my Micron pen. This page is my ideal day page. I created this in my last bullet journal, my most recent one, but now that I've done it with that bullet journal, I've had a chance to look at it, and it allows me to reflect on what my ideal day was like 7 months ago to what I consider my perfect day now. It's changed slightly, but I still can't believe that I have the routine I have now, and I'm surprisingly, unbelievably happy with it. I think anytime you work from home, it sounds ideal because you can work anytime you want, right? Everyone wants that flexible work schedule. Realistically, if you don't find a balance, you could work more than the expected 8 hours a day. At least for me, I'm constantly trying to find a balance between work and my personal life, but simultaneously create boundaries and be happy. I recently made a video about how I stay productive with the help of my bullet journal, and I can't stress this enough, but it really has been the driving force in how I stay productive. The last page is my quarterly goals, which I'm not gonna lie, I've been slacking. Every quarter, I usually dedicate a page to reassessing my goals. As of lately, it kind of bothers me when it's time to reassess. And when I'm looking at the goals I've set 3 months prior and haven't accomplished half of them, it's almost a reminder that I've failed. And I find myself questioning how I didn't get it done or feel like I am doing everything I can but still not completing the goal. Yeah, so I stopped creating the quarterly goals page. So maybe instead of creating quarterly goals, I should reassess every 6 months because 3 months just feels way too soon. Here is my mid-year bullet journal setup. I'm obsessed with how this setup turned out. As much as I love vintage bullet journaling, I equally love minimal spreads because there's just something so endearing and thoughtful when you see something so simple. I hope you all enjoyed this one. My August plan with me will be coming out later this month, so please subscribe and click that notification bell so you'll know exactly when I'll post it. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!